Hi there, my name is Peter and I will be your commentator for this battle. This is a 2 vs 2 large fun battle of my clanmates Nighthawk and Omega from the Guardians of Avalon versus the Horo Shu clan represented by Dakabur and Aret Kul. If I got any of the names or pronunciations wrong, please leave a comment and correct me. The enemy's armies are mostly a Shigaru with cavalry and are ready for long skirmishing, while my clanmates' armies are mostly melee and do not plan to skirmish. Nighthawk is first to begin the onslaught and uses his light cav to mess up his opponent's range units. He does this extremely well, and his light cav's kamikaze run is only opposed by a matchlock volley, while the enemy starts to pull back his bow warrior monks. He follows up with a great guard unit, but due to bad micro, the unit gets engaged by Arya Shigaru and fails to do real damage to the enemy's front lines. Giving orders to cav units gets harder by a geometric rate, with each unit of cav you add to your army. Their high run speed requires even faster micro from the player. Knight presses on with his cav attack and is trying to engage each unit of the enemy's cav with at least one of his own. Here his Yari cav is charging into the enemy's Naginata cav, but gets no charge bonus and is going to lose this battle. I have to point out that the charge mechanics are still heavily disputed in the community, as they seem to rely on luck for their effect to be added. This unit is also going to lose, but due to slow player micro. The enemy has one big advantage, as his cavalry is fighting close to other allied units and he's generally in the standard fight mode. Knight is now converging on the enemy's mess of a battle line, as his bow, matchlock, Yari and sword units are all entangled with each other and no order can be observed. Knight's cav was extremely successful at its attack and the enemy is unprepared for a melee fight. His mistake here was charging his sword infantry right behind him, as he had a lot of room on the flanks to maneuver them for a fast flank attack. But he did it because he was going to set up his general standard fight mode right behind the melee battle line, even in front of his matchlocks, because he didn't want any of his units outside his area of influence. Although this was not entirely necessary, as the area of influence is huge when the general is in standard fight mode. Now Knight manages to get a flank attack with at least one Katana Samurai unit and engages his enemy matchlock units and then even their general himself. Now that is what I was talking about a minute ago. His unit of matchlocks on the left flank manages to survive an attack from the enemy's cav and is still in the fight. But the problem is that he has no infantry left to hold his left flank, as the enemy is winning on this flank as much as he is on the right. Here we can see that the both players have pushed too many units on one flank while too few on the other, which then leaves your general in the middle exposed and your other flank open to flanking attacks. And that is exactly how this battle develops, as both generals are going to die from the enemy's infantry while one of their flanks is going to stay in the battle. You might have also noticed the whistling arrows debuff that the knight's opponent used in order to disable his matchlocks, but ended up with lots of his own units getting the debuff. It is now that losing the cav fight is going to cost Nighthawk a lot of his remaining sword unit. But oh and behold, here comes Omega to the rescue. What does he have left? Now let's see how did he get over here. Right from the get-go, Omega had his battle line stretched very long and even his cav support was far on his flanks. He left himself exposed to an enemy's cavalry charge. But seeing as to how the enemy wanted to play a defensive and skirmish battle, he didn't have to fear from that happening. Another drawback of his tactic is that you are leaving a lot of your units outside of your general's area of influence and the bonus it provides. Now just remember, this is Nighthawk's replay, so the advisor messages refer to the other two players. Omega is not wasting any time, as he sees that Nighthawk has engaged his enemy and ordered his units to charge. As you can see, both of my clanmates have decided not to play the enemy's game and bring skirmishing units and do a battle of attrition. They plan to defeat their enemies by overpowering them in a melee battle. This is one of the basic principles of war. See what the enemy's strong side is and make a plan to either disable it in principle or go around it entirely. Omega's enemy has also stretched his army, and now Omega is going to use his cav to do a fast charge into the enemy's battle line and soften it up for his infantry. This is a good tactic for two reasons. 1. The enemy units receive a morale shock. 2. Their charge is used up against the enemy's cav, while your infantry gets to charge into them unopposed, adding another morale shock. As you saw, Omega's light cav has done its kamikaze run into 2 units of matchlock, and the enemy is wasting his cav time attacking an already dead unit, while Omega Cav has penetrated to the enemy's bow units and his avatar, attacking them and forcing the enemy general to make a huge rookie mistake. And that is to pull your units from the battle line in order to protect your general, which only serves to leave their backs open to attacks that add a massive morale damage, plus it makes them easier to be encircled. The enemy's overkill on Omega's light cav has allowed Omega to use his other cav units in a spectacular charge right into the middle of the enemy's formation, leaving the enemy in a complete disarray. The enemy's general units are now getting flanked and back attacked, and since they are mostly Ashigaru and their general is not in a stand and fight formation, they are out one by one in quick succession. Even the firepower of the matchlock units cannot change the outcome of this battle, as Omega's cavalry units are quick to charge them. The enemy general's cav melts down when attacked by Omega's Yari, since the enemy general wasn't quick enough to pull them back, and all of his swords have already routed. All that is left of the enemy's general's army is the two matchlock units that now run just from the sight of Omega's army. As I have already pointed out, you must never play the enemy's game, as he will always best you at it. This was a great example of a well-executed rush into the enemy's battle line, especially when the enemy was already mindset to play a totally different battle. Now, as the advisor points out, Nighthawk is in the need of aid from his ally, and Omega is not one to disappoint. Incredibly, Omega's opponent's Grid Guard is still in the battle, even badly worn out, but now it can do little except bear witness to his ally's defeat, as Omega's cavalry is en route to Nighthawk's location for one final charge and to write the last pages of this battle. Nighthawk's infantry has fought valiantly and stayed in the battle, accumulating many enemy kills until the arrival of the reinforcements from Omega. He first brought his general to boost Nighthawk's unit's morale, followed by the rest of his cavalry. And it seems not a moment too soon, as Nighthawk's general has been taken out of the picture, or the battle, and his enemy is now regrouping. The enemy has some battered cavalry units and longsword Ashigaru, but left without a general, their morale is quite frail. Nighthawk still has a katana unit that stubbornly refuses to rout, while it's reinforced by Omega's general's unit, but the enemy is now swarming all over it. Omega now has to pull his exposed general back, and the enemy turns his cavalry to do a back charge into Nighthawk's katana samurai. It finally breaks their morale.
Our men are running from the battlefield! Shameful display!
But it costs the enemy too much, as his units start to waver and need just a slight push over the edge to rout. And like on cue, Omega's cav is here to do just that. One cav charge and the exhausted and morale depleted units go into a chain rout. This was Spectre commentating for the AVA Battle channel, signing off.
My lord, a glorious victory will soon be yours!